a question. So this is one by chance, by the way we just arrived from the program.
Yeah, Om Shanti, good evening, everyone. Very nice to be here. And I think I have to tell my story a little bit differently because I was green before I entered the spiritual path. I had the wonderful opportunity in 1985, I think, to go to Nigeria as a volunteer. And it was going to be a 1-year experience working at a rural secondary school. And I fell in love with the place. And working in West Africa and other parts of the African continent in rural areas has become my career for the last 30, 35 years. And it's been very, very special to me in terms of learning with and getting to know people that live close to the land and close to the nature. So they have a very strong dependence on nature, but they don't think of it as a dependence in my mind. They think of it as a relationship. And they have a relationship with the land and the rain and the water and the trees and the plants, because if they don't respect and trust that relationship, they don't survive and they can't enjoy their culture and their families and their histories and their ancestors, and their children won't be able to enjoy things into the future either. So I was very touched by those experiences in many ways, and they changed over the years. But also in returning to Canada and doing some work in Canada as well, I was blessed, I think, with learning from and getting to know some of the Indigenous people, particularly the Mi'kmaq people on the east coast of Canada, again with a very close, respectful relationship with nature and other living beings. So that part of my life has always been very important to me, and I've worked and done volunteer work in environmental related issues and rural development issues for a long time, and social justice issues for a long time. Always been very inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. You know, some of his quotes like, you have to change yourself if you want to change the world. I see some people smiling, but yeah, that's such a great quote. And for me, for many years, I would tell people that quote, and you know, you have to change yourself to change the world. And I was working in Ethiopia at one point and had an opportunity to visit India, to the Brahma Kumaris headquarters. And I learned from a very wise woman that if you point one finger at someone and say, you have to change the world, there's actually 3 fingers pointing back at yourself. And it's not you out there have to change the world, but you inside have to change the world. And that's sort of when my spiritual journey began. And I feel I've been very, very blessed in being a learner with the Brahma Kumaris for the last 20 years. And that's continued in parallel to my green journey and the environmental work I've done and the blessings I've had with working with Indigenous people and other people on the African continent and elsewhere. Because I think deep down that sense of you know, changing yourself to change the world is trying to be the best you can be and really living your life as purely as you can by the cleanest values and the purest values that you can bring to your actions in the world. And I found with so many other cultures in the world as well, expressing those values, expressing those virtues in your everyday life is so, so important. And people close to the land, people close to the water, I think, recognize those things and know that they only exist because of the right relationships they might have with other living beings, the right relationships they might have with the ecosystems that their survival is dependent upon, so that they have to live a true life and a good life. They have to express the values from inside into the outside world to make changes in the world. So I feel I'm still a learner, and that my green journey and my spiritual journey kind of overlap and have lived together for years, and feel very blessed into having that experience.
Thank you, David. Thank you for speaking slower than me. So the translation, is it happening now, the translation, or is there a sound online? People are hearing something? Yes. So if you want to use translation, it's apparently working.
For the moment, I know.
You manage in English, it's perfect. Donc le français fonctionne, il faut un français. Valériane, donc là je peux pas me tromper pour ton nom de famille, donc Valériane Bernard. No? It's not right, huh? I'm not able to read the last name. Okay, so Valériane Bernard. Bernard, bien sûr. Bernard. Valériane, The Angel's Journey.
Vous chantez. Bonne soirée. Merci. On soit tous ensemble. Alors, I'm speaking French, you speak English. Okay. All right. So, all day we're switching from French to Spanish to English too. So sometimes you just forget. So I am happy to be with all of you, and also I was thinking how I could answer that question. I was remembering snapshots of my childhood, being in the garden with my father. And it was just magic moments. Sun, the presence of someone who loves you, presence of the raspberries maturing in the sun. And I remember also the beans growing down. And it was just a world of real animals. And I remember I had the spiritual intuition that things were happening for some reason. And nobody believed in God in my family. So every time I knew there was no point asking them anything about soul of God. So I was going in the church of the village I used to live in. And I was forbidden to go to church, of course, because my family was hardcore communist, the kind that was in jail and stuff like that. So anyways, I remember going into the basement of that church and thinking, now I'm going to hear what they know about God. And it was just boring, so boring. I think I'd fall asleep and my family looked for me for hours. So like this, I did a few looking for God little adventures. And one day I just sat on my bed and I spoke to God and I said, look, I know you have lots of work to do, but if you don't explain me how you understand the world, I'm not going to sleep ever no more. The threats of a little girl. And I think it was a genuine call, and we know that God answers the true hearts. So I did get an answer. So my spiritual journey was a little bit strange. I found the Brahma Kumaris when I was quite young, and it was a beautiful conversation that started with my inner self, with the most beautiful being of the universe, and discovering and understanding what's behind everything, those lovely secrets. And so when did I become green? Started in the garden, as you can understand, but also I studied Chinese medicine. I was an educator for juvenile delinquents, but I realized I wouldn't be able to do that for too long. And I found Chinese medicine fascinating. I first studied with old Vietnamese teachers and practitioners of Chinese medicine for 2 years. They had started their old-fashioned school, so it was an amazing experience to be with these old people. And then afterwards I thought, well, it's very beautiful, but you have to understand also from a Western point of view. So I studied again the same thing with Western teachers. And that's when I started to question myself about spirituality very deeply, and started studying Raj Yoga. And I found that the Chinese understanding of who we are, what the energy in the body is like, what the energy in the universe is like, for me is highly connected in my trajectory with becoming a green, what was it? Green. Ah, really? Angel. So anyway, that's how I think I got very interested in one of the concepts that we have in the Brahma Kumaris, is that nature is eternal. It's always been there. Water, air, earth, fire, sun, and the space between things. It's always been there. But originally, when we as human beings are only emanating pure, good, positive vibrations, these elements are very healthy. But for many, many decades and centuries, we are emanating negativity, greed, anger, selfishness, violence. And this has possessed the energy of the planet in a sense. And all the elements of nature are being sick of because of our way to do things, think things, be. And so one of the concepts of Brahma Kumaris is that you can serve nature by being really very much centered in your inner being. You can start creating an energy that is robust and clean and pure and positive. And that is healing yourself, your own body, but also healing the world basically in an invisible fashion. In an invisible fashion. So I think that's enough.
You already answered 2 of my questions. Coming up. So you already answered 2 of my questions. Thank you. And by the way, I think Christelle will announce it later, but Valerian will be here next Wednesday. To chat with Christelle. Juan.
Hola.
Hola, hermano. Vasquez mi ligne? Vasquez mi ligne? Non, non.
Tout fonctionne.
No Vasquez mi ligne? Vasquez mi ligne.
Hmm.
All right, better. Getting into it. So Juan is our local green angel because, of course, Valerian, David, and Aneta are visiting Montreal, but Juan is our local one. Very incognito green angel, but very beautiful and powerful one. So Juan, briefly your angelic path turning green.
Okay.
Or you've always been green, maybe.
I'm hybrid.
Hybrid.
So once upon a time in a far, far away land called Montreal, in a street called Fayon, in a moment of crisis when I was really coming out of my teenage time and really questioning my faith, really deep, really questioning what is my relationship with the divine, with God, and with my hope with the world. And it was very simple. I used to walk in Fayon to go to the park many times, but it was at that particular moment. I remember I was 19 and I was asking those questions, and then I saw a poster in the window of L'Emergence, and it was an image like this, a point of light. But what it really triggered me in a good way was like something was calling me, and it was the point of light, and around the point of light was this diversity of religions around it. And I was like, what is it that is holding all these religions? What is it that is able to harmonize this? So I thought it was a very intriguing image. What is this? Who or how? So I remember coming inside, and one of the first experiences that I had coming at L'Emergence was the experience of peace and the future. And somehow for me they're connected, but I didn't understand at that time, but it was a very clear, image or experience of peace and the future. So I realized that there was something special about this place. There was something that even mystical about the meditation center, that it made me feel really good, really like I feel at home here. And not only home, I feel like this is like a sanctuary of peace. And somehow I felt like the people who, volunteer here reflected that peace. And not only that the environment also, you can experience that peace. And I said, this has to come from somewhere. Where is this coming? And that's when I started to come to the center more often. And one of the other experiences that I had is I started to speak to God in a very personal way. It's like, you have this, community of greatness, and what is this community doing for the planet? And I was thinking, what is the Brahma Kumaris doing for the world in terms of the environment? And I got an answer, and it's a very subtle kind of a word that came with Eko Shanti, and Shanti means peace in Hindi. So somehow I thought that it was the future, the planet, and peace was connected somehow. And I was like, okay, I like this energy. I feel like connected to it. And because I was very young, I really felt, like you say, the vibe. And it was a very, really powerful energy. And from there, I just followed that energy. I followed that lead. And I started to participate in well, actually, I remember emailing. I researched Brahma Kumari's environment, and it was this email. And I remember sending an email saying, I have an idea about peace and the planet. And they later answered me, we would like you to participate in the COP conferences. And since then, I've been participating, especially with the youth, contributing to understand the connection between spirituality and environment among the youth. I'm no longer a youth, but I'm still youth in my heart. But that's how I really started. It was very simple, but for me, it was just the experience of peace, future, and the planet. And I think it's all connected, and it's connected to this sanctuary of peace, that when we meditate, we can connect to that place inside of us. And for me, it's like if we can connect to that, and there's a place like l'Emergence who gives the experience of peace, why not the world? How come the world cannot experience this? And for me, that's why I decided to dedicate my time, my energy to this cause, because I think it's a beautiful, beautiful gift for humanity to experience this energy of peace. And not only peace, it's also hope, love, determination. And there's so many other qualities that comes from this sanctuary of peace. And it's in that silence, I think, that we can bring this beautiful energy to the world.
Well, thank you, Green Angel. Lovely to. I still feel you're very young, very youthful. And, I feel maybe very old. I don't know what's wrong. So I know we don't have so much time. We can spend the whole night asking questions, but a little bit as a journalist in me, I can't refrain from knowing that the expectations on a conference like COP15, if you read the newspapers lately, is very high, because we see the world going really in the wrong direction. And we are kind of hoping that the countries and the leaders of the countries would have the guts, would have the courage to do something. So I know many people are questioning, COPs and the possibility of change. There are, of course, demonstrations, people who are very skeptical, unhappy also with the changes in the world. So my difficult question to the four of you, and the answer would not have to be one after the other, but I think for saving time and having a second question later, you can interject the way you want. But the question is really, what is the relevance at the moment of a conference like this one? And particularly the relevance of us, angels are making, all angels are making, right? So us spiritual people to be part of it. So what's the relevance of the event at the moment, in your words, and the relevance of us participating in that event? Who wants to start? So you can have a few little bites and then hear a little bit from everyone. And then we'll have another question after. David, you want to start? Oh, maybe.
I'm the youngest on the team. I think someone else should start.
Anita? Maybe short, and then we can, can come back again.
Yes, for me, the relevance of this conference is that it's an opportunity to ignite hope in the hearts of people, because right now there is a lot of hopelessness, and whatever we see outside, it really only confirms that things are not getting better, they are getting worse. But the relevance is in our participation in this conference, because we see not only, like I see not only hope, but actually I am confident that there is a better world, that actually there is something good that is going to happen. And it's not even a matter of hope, it's a confidence that I have because I have opportunity and I'm fortunate to study this spiritual knowledge. So my relevance, our relevance in this kind of conference is that we can share this light of hope and confidence. And the thing is that it's the question whether I am going to be there or not if it happens or not. So yeah, I think like even today, we participated in a very interesting dialogue, we can say. And there were very high level people participating from different organizations. And then few of us, we came and we joined different groups. And they were speaking about the different dimensions of change, this change, that change, this challenge, this problem. And, we were able to bring this perspective of values, which is actually a very universal thing. And that gave already different light. I think it gave hope because everyone can relate to that. And okay. So yeah, I think the relevance is to shed the light of hope, understanding the cycle of time, basically. Yeah, and this is what we learned from the nature, that after the night, the day comes.
I want to add something. I think that's mic 2.
I agree with Annette.
I have a mic.
Well, then around as we want, you can change.
I'm busy.
I think what is at stake is, in terms of generally with the conferences, it's life itself. So we're in a way destroying life, and we are life in a way. So in a way, it's a self-destructive mechanism that we are in. And what is at stake is to stop that kind of energy. But we know that sometimes we can reverse certain things, but we can actually help to create something new. And the thing that can support this in this new energy is our well-being, because biodiversity in what it is really is this sustaining our well-being. And I think that if we understand this and we see that everything that we have in terms of money, food, shelter, even the transportation, anything that we have comes from life, comes from nature. And if we are able to understand what is our relationship, we question ourselves, what is our relationship with nature today, we can change the quality of the relationship that we have with nature and transform the outcome by changing ourselves, like you were saying. But now we are in this time where it's the opposite. You have to change yourself to change the world, but now the world is changing. And if you don't change, it will push people to maybe situations and behaviors that are maybe unwanted. And that's why spirituality, I think, is a very beautiful support, because it's allowing us to change before that happens. So we have to see things in a reverse way so we can actually empower ourselves. And I think meditating, coming to places like l'Emergence, it helps us to have a vision, a positive vision of the future and the inner resources that are necessary to face the challenges that we're gonna keep facing more and more, like we just have the pandemic. So things will continue to happen, but we also have the tools available for us to face those things.
And David, do you agree with that? You agree with that?
I also
You can
agree
use
with
it. You can add it like thunder and
I too agree. I would both say one and it. But if you look at any problem you have, basically, you only try to find a solution when you experience the problem. So it's like if you're not hungry, you're not interested in eating. If you don't have pain anywhere in your body or in your teeth, you're not interested in going to see the dentist, are you? I mean, maybe you're a dentist and your opinion is you should really practice, kind of control and everything. But I mean,
Maybe your husband is a dentist.
oh, that's terrible. But I mean, you need to solve a problem when you experience the problem. And I think biodiversity is there at the moment in a COP, in a UN framework, calling us humans to do something because we are on the verge of a big problem. We're very, very hungry. We have many bad teeth, however you want to say it. So it's like you open your mouth or not, you go to the dentist now. So we are also the dentists of the world because we are those who created the problem. So I think that biodiversity COP is like, it's human beings trying to find solutions to problems they are identifying only for the last 40, 50 years. They have built the problem for centuries, but it is only now that it's really become completely obvious that we have something to do about it. So I think Brahma Kumaris is also spiritually, it's a little bit the same. We are aware that as spiritual beings, we are facing the necessity of becoming who we really are and letting go of what we're not. This is a big job that we do individually in the quietness of our inner being. But in the COP, it's like this whole world has to do that. They are not at all aware of the spiritual component. And when you try to kind of take them into this awareness, they like, it requires quite a bit of building up for this conversation to have success. So I think that's why we're there, because we all here, the four of us, are in our own way convinced that this is really something where we can probably help a bit.
I'm sure, David, you agree with Valerian?
I also agree with Valerian, yes.
Now you have to share something they will all agree with.
I think all I'd add, this biodiversity COP, they talk about three major sort of areas of work that they deal with. And the first one is about ecosystems and landscapes. And very much the conversation is about that nature out there, separate from us, that maybe we've been bad to, we've exploited somehow, and now maybe we should protect it, but we still want to make our livelihoods from it, et cetera, et cetera. And I think what often people fail to see is the relationship and the interconnectedness and the mutuality we have with the ecosystems we live with the web of life, like Juan was mentioning. And that if we are beings that have that relationship with our ecosystems and the natural world, how do we give and benefit those systems because we have been taking from them for so long? So that's one of the areas where I think it's relevant for us to be involved. The second one is they talk about protecting other species. And that's very important, I think, protecting other species. But again, it's that sense of, those things out there. But we are also a species that has been suffering because of the decisions we've made and the conscious choices we've made. So how do we engage with protecting other species and allowing them to live the best way they can in the environment that has always existed, that has been here, but has been destroyed? How can we right those relationships with other living things? And then they talk about genetic resources, right? How are we going to protect and have the fair sharing of the genetic resources of the world? And for me, it's, matter, genetic resources are matter, they're things. Matter is not the only thing that matters, right? How can we think about protecting the spiritual resources that we have that have been lost? The power of silence, the power of sharing love and happiness, like we did in the meditation earlier. How can we as a human species, nurture and take care and build those within ourselves and share them with others and protect those spiritual resources for our children and our grandchildren? So they have these three big objectives, but I think there can be a twist and an added dimension to the way they talk about them. And then there's, I think, 4,000 people in Palais de Congrès having these discussions.
18,000.
There's 18,000 registered.
So there'll be 18,000 registered over these 2 weeks. And they have sessions, from 8 in the morning until 12:30 at night every day. It's very intensive work. And they come with their passion and their caring about the natural world. And if we can somehow give them a moment of peace, a moment of silence, a moment of strength and confidence and respect for what they're doing, I think that's a valuable thing to contribute.
Well, thank you. I think it's really inspiring. Again, taking time into account, I was feeling that maybe for all of us here and online, we would like to leave tonight with something that we feel we can contribute and be useful. And my understanding again of these conferences and all these debates come to a conflict of polarization between the dreams, the motivations, the hopes, the philosophy, the reality that many countries will bring up and say, well, we have growth in our population, we need transport, we need oil, we need gas. And yes, saving the environment is great, but there's another reality, inequity between wealthy countries and poor countries. Geographic realities, catastrophes. So sometimes we are confronting our values, our ideologies, our dreams, our hopes with a reality that is hard. And politics is hard. And many have been criticizing the Paris Accords, the many different accords that were signed in the past, maybe not even respected. Some withdrew from the accord. So some people are wondering, okay, we want to protect species, but I don't want to give up, certain of my habits. And I have a car, and I feel more and more guilty now every time I go in my car because of one, because of the conflicting position. I want to help the world, but also I'm attached to my own way of living. And sometimes I think we're asking people to say, well, when you say we have to change ourselves, right? 5 of us change, it's great, but we would like 5 billion at least to change. So my question, which is a long one, is for us to leave tonight with some more, practical ideas to work with. What do you feel is the most convincing element or thought you can share that will inspire people to change themselves? Because the question will be, leaders will make decisions, but basically individuals will have to make personal changes. So what is your strongest argument, or those that you've heard, that will help us to be even more convinced tonight that we can bring a change in ourselves and in the world? Is that okay as a question? David, you agree with the question? Do you agree with the question? Okay. So we leave empowered, and then you're not anymore 4 green angels at the end of the evening, but we are many, many queens angels. Everybody will, you don't get a sign, a document that you can't get out that sign, right? And I'll be a green angel. Is that okay? So again, you can share the mics. Who wants to start? The youngest? He's been thinking about it for a long time.
That's a really good question. But it's a good question that is worth meditating not only for a moment, but actually throughout this conference. And I think I really value that, because it's we can actually meditate on that and see how, there's a way to resolve conflict. And like I was saying, there will be a time that the world will force us to change. And I was watching this beautiful video of this island, Vanuatu, not pronouncing correctly, but they are already in a position where they're gonna when they lost their communities, their lands. Water is gonna go so high that it will actually destroy the islands. So they decided to come together. And for me, maybe the most the way that I can share this is to, if we love our families, if we love our friends, this is the time to start loving even more. This is the time for increasing our love, increasing our heart, to open our hearts even more. And I think the solutions are within the heart. And I think just by, sometimes we call the Pandora box, which is a negative connotation. But what if we open the heart? What are the beauties? What are the treasures that we can find? And I think there's so many solutions that we can discover within the heart. And when I was watching this video, I saw how much there was so much joy, how much happiness, so much hope among all the communities within youth, elders, all of them that were working together to save their lives. So saving their lives, saving their communities was actually a beautiful spiritual community work. So I think we have to realize that we are a community of greatness. In terms, we are a global community of greatness. We are one country, one world in that sense. And for me, the key is within the heart, in the soul of the human being. And that's where the sustainable energy, the human sustainable energy lies within the heart, within the soul. And it's up to us to open and see what are the beauties. And I invite all of you to discover that, because I think there's so much beauty that can come from that.
That's amazing.
I agree with Juan. I agree with Juan. And what I would like to add is follow your dream. Have courage to dream. Like today in our morning class, we heard, see the paradise, So let us make this, let's have a courage to dream, and let's make this dream specific. So we know where we are, right? This is quite obvious where we are. But let's see where we would like to be. Let's make this dream specific, big, beautiful. And then this will be a motivation for me to make the change that I need to make to get there. So I would say that I think the motivation for us is not to focus on what we see and trying to fix it, but let's dream about the beautiful world And yeah, this will ignite the enthusiasm, the power, the courage that we need to get there. So let's co-create this beautiful world that we all dream. You know, do you, and I'm not asking now people who are in India, I don't know, but do you like chiku? Do you like it?
Chico? I don't know what.
Do you like chiku?
What is it?
You don't like chiku? I like chiku.
And we don't know what it is.
Yeah. Do you like peace? Do you love love?
Yes.
Do you like happiness?
Yes.
Why? Because you experienced it, right? You know it. It means it existed once, right? Since you experienced it. And if we look again at the nature and we see the cyclic nature of the nature, it means whatever was, it will be. So it means this love and peace and happiness that we long for, that we want to experience, it is possible and it will happen. And this is the dream, which is actually the reality. We just have to think big and think differently and make it happen. Okay? So you don't like chiku because you have never tasted it. But we all love happiness, right? And peace and love. Because it exists and it can exist again. Okay? Thank you.
Very often, you know, when people are asked when they're learning meditation to have a quiet moment and think of a place of peace or a place of contentment, very often people think of a place in nature. They're in a woods, or they're in a garden, or they're at a beach, or they're walking under the gently falling snow or something. And we can recreate those experiences in our minds because of the energy they bring to us. But we can also, we're very blessed, I think, in Canada, even here in Montreal, where we can go and have those experiences. And I don't think that the purpose of this evening is to try to make anyone a green angel, but to encourage you to be conscious about the choices you make for peace, for happiness, for a better world, for living the life you want to live, and to take the opportunities to go to a park, to go quietly inside yourself and decide what you want to nurture and what you want to grow. And then work on the things that you want to nurture and you want to grow.
Today I heard a young woman, she might have been 20, and she was speaking on behalf of the youth. So at some point she said, no matter where you come from, wherever you are from, the earth is still your mother. The earth is still your mother. And she spoke with such love and such convincing power that I could feel the whole atmosphere in the room was changing. And she was actually the one that got applauded the most. People couldn't stop applauding because she was bringing, she was a bit harsh as well with people who were there, but she was speaking from a space of love we were saying just now, but also a space of wisdom. Know who you are, know what you owe to Mother Nature. We wouldn't be there if Mother Nature didn't love us so much and didn't provide with so much generosity to the needs of a human life. And I mean, how much love would a person who's the child of a wonderful woman have for that wonderful woman? And it's only one lifetime. But we as a species have been here for thousands of years. And nature never stopped giving, never stopped giving. And that's what I love about the indigenous people. They have kept this amazing sense of relationship and this amazing greatness of nature and its generosity. And I think that the more we allow ourselves to connect with beauty and love and generosity, and you awaken in yourself the sense of responsibility, the sense of love, the sense of wanting to care, the sense of how lucky you are, the sense of how fantastic we are at this moment, able to give so much love, receive so much love, experience how much love we've received for birth after birth after birth. And it's gigantic. And I think when people would start awakening in themselves the awareness of all these things, they will have much more power to change and much more power to face truth. But also they will understand their resources. And change has to happen. Do you want to be happy tomorrow? Yeah, right? So it's like, what do we need to give up today to be happy tomorrow? Because we're not happy today. Our society is sick. And if we don't understand what that sickness is, we can't give it up, And it's so beautiful to see that opportunity of health. It's just in front of us. And so much love from nature, from God, from all the human beings to be born tomorrow are like supporting all of us here. Because we have a difficult change to do. We have a difficult job to finish. But if we kind of get in tune with this energy of excitement around us, then we'll probably wake up a little bit more to our potential.
Well, I would have many more questions, and I feel that you would like to hear more, but I would like to be respectful of time. I know you have full day tomorrow, you had full day today, but what I heard, and I want to know from you if you think this is right, I feel we've heard quite many inspiring thoughts, inspiring ideas, but most of all for me, what I felt was I saw beautiful ideas, but I saw beautiful people. And I found that each one of you in your own ways expressed ideas that reflect on you as a being. And I felt I was falling in love with each one of you even more. And you were mentioning about loving those we love even more. So I would say I love you even more than I loved you already before the evening. So I feel we all can relate that not only the ideas are great, the dreams are great, the feelings are beautiful, but the people, the souls are amazing, and you are amazing souls. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for your contribution at the COP. I know you'll be for almost 2 weeks, is it, a very, very intense schedule. The center will be reporting on the activities with different ways, and I will let Anne-Christelle to share a few announcements. But before, I want everyone to just express your gratitude for all of you. I'll go with that. Hopefully, online and be able to follow and stay with us. And so big thank you from the heart, and then Mike and Christelle to share a few announcements. Because we'll be very active at the center for the next 2 weeks, so stay with us, come back again.
And Christelle is staying with them.
And then Christelle is also a green angel, by the way. She's also part of the team at the cup. She's the newest one.
I will become eventually. They are coloring me. I will become green after 2 weeks and full of love. So yes, it's already a pleasure to welcome our green angel again. This Sunday we will have a special program. It will be a panel discussion. So those angels have lots of connections and really nice people. And they have also they also represent faith organizations. So they will be here to talk about the link between faith and biodiversity. So we heard a little bit tonight, but we will hear more from others. So it will be Sunday at 7 o'clock. Now we will have also a program in French next Wednesday evening with Valériane, and the topic will be au cœur d'un monde meilleur, so the heart of a better world. So beautiful topic. And to finish, we will have another green angel coming all the way from London. She will arrive this Saturday. Actually, she will be part of the panel on Sunday, and the Sunday after. So she will be interviewed by Eric, and the topic will be awakening a flourishing future. And it's a yogi that you don't want to miss also, because she has really a long experience in London, and so she has grown up as a yogi, very, very close to Daddy Janki. One of the yogis that you see here, she's no more alive, but she had lots and lots to share in London and around the world. So Sister Maureen, that's her name, she will be with us. And so hopefully we will see you again. You're most welcome to enjoy all those evenings. I think it's so great fortune and blessing to have this team with us and really learn, right? Did you learn something tonight? I did. Om Shanti. And shall we close with a meditation? Yeah. And wait. Yeah, you will receive a blessing card and also a totally little sweet whenever you leave on your way to the entrance. Other angels. Not green angel, but white angels will welcome you. And who would like to close with the meditation? How about Juan? Will you do a commentary? Finish? Thank you.
3 minutes. This technology is so complicated.
Be resourceful. Great.
3 minutes.
Invitation to just be for a couple moments. You feel the space around you, in front of you, and behind you. Just allow to be here, to be present. Again, feeling the space around you, the chair where you're sitting, connecting to your breath. Our breath connects us to the present moment. And it's also the doorway to go within the self. Within the place where you can observe yourself, you can feel yourself. You are awareness, you are consciousness. And you can see yourself as a point of light. Middle of the forehead. You're a luminous being, radiant. And as you can feel yourself, you can experience also peace, silence. And as you continue to journey within yourself, as you continue to experience yourself as awareness, there's something even more pure within you, a divine energy that emanates from the deep core of your soul. That's the doorway to this inner sanctuary of peace. A dimension of silence. You can feel it like if it was home. Full of energy, full of light. As you connect to that experience, you can feel the presence of something even more pure and more divine. And the energy is so alluring, so beautiful. And you can feel regenerated. You feel uplifted. You feel happy. And that energy keeps alluring you into your divine consciousness, into the purity of your being. That connection makes you powerful. You feel empowered. You feel so much love that something sparks within yourself, and is the energy of hope. And that hope starts to change the vision of who you are. You start seeing things in a more positive way. And you feel the sacredness of your whole being. The energy vibrating. Spiritual light. Divine light. And now you know that you have the gift to share this with yourself, with others, and with life itself. These are gifts from the divine, but now they're yours to share with the world. And you keep this experience in your heart, and you allow it to manifest it in your thoughts, in your attitude, in your vision. And you bring this energy into your body. You can feel again the breath that connects you to the present moment. And you feel your body, you feel your presence, and you feel the room. You slowly come back to this moment, to this place. And you can feel the peace within you. Om Shanti.
So, thank you again to all of you. Bonsoir. Good night. Sweet dreams, big dreams. I hope to see you very, very soon again. So thank you for joining us online in the room. And Om Shanti. Good night.